Kakadosh Boker Tov. We're just continuing with the halachot. This is Siman Resh Mem Vav. Yesterday we were speaking about the entire concept of renting out kelim to goyim. And we're talking about the difference between Maran and the Ramah, when are you allowed to rent it out exactly, whether it's talking about Friday or even beforehand, right? Or is it even on Friday that you're allowed to do it and just for the Shabbat and you're getting money just for the Shabbat? Siv Bet actually mentions an important halacha, which is now lending out, which means before we were talking about renting and now we're talking about lending. So the same halacha would apply that according to Shitat Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to lend out the keli to a goy on Erev Shabbat, and even the poskim that hold it, you're not allowed to rent it out on Erev Shabbat. Here, you're allowed to lend it out, and therefore there's no problem of lending it, even if it's going to be samuch lechashecha, which means that it's close to Shabbat, as long as you're actually taking it out before the Shabbat. So therefore, you're allowed to lend the utensil to a goy. Beforehand, it was renting, so you have much more problems, whether it's going to be schar Shabbat or other things as well. That means you're taking reward, you're taking money for Shabbat and other things as well. Here it's going to be a different halacha. The last halacha I'm going to mention is a very interesting one, which has to do with what about vending machines. So a vending machine, we know whether you're going to come and you're going to put a vending machine. So nowadays they even have vending machines for even cleaners, which means that they come, they'll put it inside of one of these cleaning machines, right? Let's say, for example, they have a cleaners, they put it inside, they push the buttons, and then all of a sudden it comes and it starts taking all the clothing, right, on the Shabbat. So here the Shitat Rav Ovadia is that even though there are going to be three different aspects over here, whether it's going to be Shvitat Kelim, we know that Shvitat Kelim, there's no Isur of having Shvitat Kelim, which means our utensils are allowed to come and work on Shabbat. For example, our lights are on Shabbat. That's our utensil. And Shvitat Kelim b'Shabbat, which means that we do not have an Isur of having our utensils working on the Shabbat. Another one is going to be Mekach Umemkar Shabbat, and another one is going to be Schar Shabbat. So Rav Ovadia Yosef holds that in all these three cases, as long as it's going to be not in a Jewish neighborhood, and that it's not that my name is on the vending machine, so therefore it's going to be permitted. So I could have a vending machine which basically belongs to me. It's going to be in a non-Jewish neighborhood, and now the goyim are coming on Shabbat, and they're coming and they're putting money and they're doing all these things. It's the best, obviously, to come and have in mind and make a condition that you're not going to acquire the money on the Shabbat. However, there's no problem of Mekach Umemkar on Shabbat, because you're not really doing business on Shabbat. It's being done in its own. We spoke about this in the past, if you remember, to do with something which is online as well. There are obviously people that want to be stringent, which does exist, and that's why you do have some websites, BH and Art School and other ones as well, that they'll close their websites on Shabbat. But since there's no Isur, Mi'ikar Adin, Mitzad the Mekach Umemkar, or according to Shita Maran, Schar Shabbat, so therefore here you do not have a problem whatsoever, you could leave it. If it's going to be in a Jewish neighborhood, it's much worse, because then you could be suspecting that Chas v'Shalom, it could be the people that are Mechalel Shabbat, they're going to come and they're going to start buying things on the Shabbat. So there it's much worse. But if it's going to be in a non-Jewish neighborhood and you have vending machines, as long as it doesn't have your name in big and people don't know that it's you, that it's a Jew that owns this machine, and it could be like millions, that they have just their own vending machines, there's no problem, mitzad halacha, to have this on the Shabbat.